Well, there's always injuries play a part of that, because sometimes you're not sure, as you start the week, if this guy is going to be available because he's got a nagging injury or whatever. So, you're working his back up in there, and then as it goes on during the week, if he can play, then he gets the majority of the reps later because the guy behind him got him earlier in the week. Also, we evaluate each day, practice to see how guys are performing, and in some cases at receiver, for example, we're going to play a number of receivers each week because of multiple wide receiver formations.
Greg, I asked Mac about DJ Monroe and just kind of the reluctance to implement him more into the offense, and he said to ask you about it. So,
okay. All right. Well, let me start off by saying I felt like at Nebraska we did exactly the right thing. I feel like after evaluating Saturday's game, we definitely should have played him more. And we've got to be smart with DJ. Obviously, we've talked about that and certain things. And then in the second half, because of the nature of the ball game, we were throwing the ball a bunch, and we didn't want to put him in some protection situations. That would have been tough. But to answer your question, I should have played him more in that ball game.
Is there just, in terms of development, you mentioned the protection issues and things like that, I mean, is it just, coming along slower than, you'd hope for it to come?
Well, I think he's closer than he's been at any time, and I do think there are certain things that he brings to the table that we got to take advantage of, and I think it varies from game to game. As I said the week before, based on what we were doing and the way Nebraska was playing, I felt like we did exactly the right thing. I do feel like Saturday we definitely should have got him in.
Playing uptight?
Well, I think at some point in the ball game, I talked to Garrett about it yesterday. I thought he began to press some, and we had a great week of practice. In fact, Coach Brown told the team Wednesday may have been our best Wednesday in a long time in terms of energy, assignments, the whole gamut, and. But what that does is it gives you an opportunity to play good. We did not play well, and but the bottom line is we turned the ball over 4 times, and we've talked at this setting many times that a huge part of winning and losing is taking care of the football. And we did not do a good job of taking care of the ball, and because of it, we left points out there that would have flipped the ball game, and that's something that we have got to do a better job of. We had done a real good job for the 2 weeks leading up to the ball game, and sometimes when you try to make things happen off schedule, those things occur.
Do you think he's making the same mistakes? I mean, do you think he?
I think in the ball game Saturday, we had Trey Newton in a one-on-one situation in the end zone, and just need to lay the ball out where Trey makes a play or it's incomplete. And then, but I do think there were some times when the play was extended, and he probably talked to you about it because we talked about it yesterday. When the play's been extended, there are some really good things that can happen when that occurs, but there's some really bad things because you lose sight of where everybody's at. And on the interception down here, he would be he'd be the first to tell you when he moved around in the pocket, he really thought he had John in a one-on-one situation. He was throwing the ball where only John could get it, but because of the movement, he had lost sight. And so, we just got to guard against that. And there's still plays that Garrett can make with his feet. I mean, he has shown that he could make some plays with his feet, whether or not it's on quarterback draw or scrambles or whatever. And that's what we need. That's what we need to do. We need to be smarter when the play is extended.
Coach, we talked a lot last year or at different times about Colt, playing under pressure. someone to get to him. How does that compare with what Garrett's going through? Is he forcing stuff? Is he? How is he?
Well, I think that Garrett is got great pride, and I think that position, the quarterback position, when things don't go good, then you naturally begin taking it on yourself to try to make things happen. And usually when you try to force things to happen, I would relate it to how many times have you heard a Major League Baseball player said, I just wanted to hit the ball hard, and it jumped out of the park. Yeah, you very seldom hear them say, I went up to put it in the stands. They went up to hit the ball hard, and the ball got out. And I think that's the same thing, at the quarterback position. If you'll go up to take advantage of what is presented, then sometimes what's presented is the big plays. But other times, what's presented is, checking the ball down, let your back go run with it or whatever.
Garrett talked about playing with a sense of urgency in the fourth quarter. How do you get your offense to start out a game like that?
Well, I think that is a really good question. And I think we tried to start the ball game with an urgent. We got the ball on the 10-yard line. We came out and empty and threw it. Second play, we ran a zone read for the first time this year. Garrett kept it for, 12 yards. So we were trying to create that urgency early, and when that is successful, then it leads to more good things. But so I think we have to try to continue to be aware of that. And at the same time, when the defense has a better play than we do, then we have to be willing to punt the ball and play defense.
I don't know exactly the right way to put this, but it seems like that first drive, for example, like you're moving the ball, and then it just seems to stall so quickly. Like the momentum doesn't seem to carry over play to play. Is there something you put your finger on, or is it a multitude of things?
Well, there's a multitude of things. I mean, sometimes, not that particular one, but sometimes, things are rolling pretty good, and then all of a sudden a penalty or a negative yards play. Now, we didn't have a bunch of negative yardage plays in the ballgame, and you're off schedule. And then sometimes you have penalties. We had two the other night that we came right back and hit one Deshaun Hales and one Marquise. The penalty kind of goes unnoticed. But at the same time, you're regaining yards that you've already gained, and that begins to catch up with you. But sometimes it's execution. Sometimes it's, did we get the ball to the right place in the passing game? Was the hats right in the run game? So there's a multitude of things that create that inconsistency.
From what we got to see in the spring and fall, it seemed like Deshaun had really taken a big step. Could be a guy that y'all can trust. And Garrett worked so well last year when working with the twos. Why hasn't he taken that step this year?
Well, I thought he took one Saturday. I think he had 3 or 4 catches Saturday. He had, I know, two conversions that he came up with. One was a big catch on the 3rd and 14, and and I think as we go, I talked to Deshaun last Wednesday. As a matter of fact, I called him in and told him that I thought he was really practicing well, and I looked as the season goes on for him to step up. I didn't know it would be Saturday, but I do think he stepped up Saturday, and because of it, he'll be in the mix more as we continue.
Just to clarify the comments on DJ, the last 2 games, 1 carry per game. You're saying in the Nebraska game you thought that was the right number, but then in this last game you needed more than 1 carry?
I thought in the yes, that's what I'm saying. I thought in the Nebraska game, by structure, we wanted to spread the field and run inside, and the guys that we were doing that with were doing a good job, and that's kind of their. That's kind of where their vision and all that comes into place. I do feel like that totally my fault that in this ball game that there were times because of the way Iowa State was playing that we could have used him on plays similar to the one that we did use him on and got him involved more. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Coach.